Have scenes already been cut from Dune Part 2? Let's get into this. Now we know that Part 1 was rated PG13, and we know the type of violence we got to see, so we can assume that we'll get similar, if not more, in Dune Part 2. But that would mean that the certificate has to change. Timothée Chalamet discusses what we're going to see in Dune Part 2.
And obviously being very covered in blood all the time as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because on shooting Dune in Budapest with Florence Pugh and Dan, Austin Butler, and without giving anything away, there's a good amount of blood in that too. So Denis is wanting to write a thank you to Luca to say he kind of got me prepped.
Now him saying that it's going to be fairly bloody is interesting because we didn't get to see much blood in Dune Part 1. The only blood I noticed was the blood in Paul's vision when Duncan Idaho dies. We don't even get to see these blood splatters in the actual scene itself when it takes place. So if there are going to be more bloody scenes in Dune Part 2, I just wonder what they're going to be and if they'll even make it into the final film. Another scene that may have caused the PG-13 rating is the scene where Chani stabs Paul. Is Timothée Chalamet implying that Dune Part 2 is going to be rated 15? Because I think that's the only certificate next after PG-13. To certify Dune Part 2 as 15 would hinder its audience and the amount of money it can make at the box office. So I highly doubt that they're going to make it a 15. I think it's still going to be a PG-13. They'll push the certificate to the limits. I think what gave Dune Part 1 the certificate PG-13 were the upside down crucifixions, and remember that this crucifixion scene was supposed to be naked, as it is featured in Dune Part 1 concept art by Deke Ferrand and others. Another scene that may have caused the PG-13 rating in Dune Part 1 is the piling up of the bodies and the burning of the bodies, and I think the beheading, the implication of beheading by Dave Bautista's character Raban. If you recall, it wasn't even in focus, it was out of focus, but you could hear him carrying out the deed. So what scenes could be bloody in Dune Part 2? Well, there's the fight scene between Feyd-Rautha and the Atreides soldier who is going to be played by Roger Yuan. Not just any soldier, Lieutenant Lamville in fact. So there will be a fight between him, and if you don't want to be spoiled, please watch another video of mine. He's going to be killed, and this will celebrate Feyd-Rautha's 100th kill, so this could be a bloody scene. The other potential bloody scenes are of course the razzia raids that Paul Atreides and his Fremen soldiers are going to be partaking in. And then we also have the final battle, which is going to be between the Harkonnen and the Fremen fighters. And of course there's going to be a lot of soldiers killing each other in that scene too. And perhaps there are going to be more horrific scenes of future visions where Paul sees the jihad or the holy war spreading across the universe like an unquenchable fire, as he promises in Dune Part 1. And we may see bloody scenes in that regard. Of course, there's also the infamous Water of Life sequence which may appear in Dune Part 2. And of course this is going to be something controversial because there is supposed to be some kind of orgy. But I don't think it's the orgy that people assume in their minds. This is how Frank Herbert describes it in his book Dune. There was nothing of telepathy here, she knew. It was the Tao, the oneness of the CH community. A compensation from the subtle poison of the spice diet they shared. The great mass of the people could never hope to attain the enlightenment the spice seed brought to her. They had not been trained and prepared for it. Their minds rejected what they could not understand or encompass. Still, they felt and reacted sometimes like a single organism. The Tao in Fremen terminology is that oneness of the CH community, enhanced by spice diet, and especially the Tao orgy of oneness elicited by drinking the water of life. So it's an orgy of minds, of consciousness. It's not really sexual in nature, so I really hope that the movie, if it does portray the water of life, doesn't portray the Tao orgy as a sexual experience. I don't see it as that type of orgy, it's more like an awakening of shared consciousness. It can be portrayed as so much more meaningful, so I really hope it doesn't fall into the sex sells trap or the nudity is art trap. But I highly doubt there would be any nudity in Dune anyway. They want this to reach as big of an audience as possible, and the water of life is the narcotic used in the CH Tao orgy, an awareness spectrum narcotic. So it increases awareness. And I actually think this is something in the Dune miniseries that was a mistake a little bit, but it still made for an interesting visual. And I do love that they were dancing and then they all of a sudden disappear in Paul's vision or Paul's sense, and I did enjoy that. But the rest of the Tau orgy was kind of like this frivolous, excited mass orgy of people, and I don't think that's what the Tau spice orgy is. You know, I imagine Alejandro Jodorowsky would actually love the idea of this Tau orgy because it's like expanding the consciousness of the mind and making everybody aware of everybody who's involved in the CH. And this connectivity is kind of something that the Muslim Ummah, which is a word used in Dune, experiences on a daily basis in terms of things like oppression occurring across the world, but because it's someone who shares a similar background or faith to them, they feel a sense of hurt. And there is a saying in Islam that when one part of the body is in pain, the rest of the body feels it. And I really think that's what encompasses the Spice Tau, that sensibility. In fact, I think that's exactly what Frank Herbert was trying to say that the Spice Tau orgy was. When we're all compassionate to one another, when we all feel for each other, doesn't that make for a better world? Doesn't that make us more human? Doesn't that make us better people overall? When we feel empathy for others, when we're more empathetic to their causes and their issues. So I really hope if the Water of Life sequence is portrayed in Dune Part 2 that they won't miss the mark here, because I think it's a really important thing and I think it could be definitive cinema. So these are scenes that I can think of, and I don't think there is going to be any more than that. But do I think this is going to push Dune Part 2 to a 15 certificate? I highly doubt it. I don't think they're going to go there. I think they'll prefer to pull back on the blood and the gore, and they'll only imply those scenes to be bloody. And I think Dune Part 2 will remain a PG-13, like its predecessor. But if that happens, what it could mean is that the bloody scenes that were filmed for Dune Part 2 may not actually make the final cut. Or if they do make the final cut, they will be very plain, bloodless scenes, with perhaps a slight bit of red to indicate blood or gore. And just like the deleted scenes of Dune Part 1, we will not get to see the gory and bloody scenes for Dune Part 2. And this really won't be a good look for the Dune production because we still haven't seen the deleted scenes from Dune Part 1. And it's quite painful that Dune Part 1 has been released for years now, and you get to see the deleted scenes from movies like The Batman. And you just think to yourself, why can't they release the deleted scenes for Dune Part 1? At the very least, the ones they know they're not going to use for Dune Part 2. But what do you think? Do you want to see more blood in Dune Part 2? Do you want to see a higher certificate? Do you want it to be rated 15 or more? Let me know in the comment section below. Check out some of my other Dune content or some of my other popular culture videos here.